Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Deep Fried Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Fry, and thanks for listening. Well, this weekend was a great weekend of NFL football, still a little sloppy, but getting better. The Eagles on Thursday night beat the Packers in Green Bay 34-27. The Giants trampled the Redskins. The Chiefs just barely got past the Lions in Detroit. That was actually a really good game. Titans beat the lowly Falcons. I don't know what's wrong with them in Atlanta. Browns managed to score 40 points on the Ravens and won 40-25. Did Baltimore just not show up? The Raiders beat the Colts in Indianapolis. Derek Carr looked great. Patriots eked out a win in Buffalo. The Bills pretty much lost that game. The Patriots didn't really win it. Panthers beat the Texans without Cam. Chargers beat the Dolphins. Well, they better. Buccaneers scored 55 points on the Rams. They won 55-40 in Los Angeles. I have argued over the years that Los Angeles has no home field advantage for either the Rams or the Chargers. Seahawks beat the Cardinals. Bears beat the Vikings. Jaguars eked out a win in Denver without Jalen Ramsey. And in the Sunday night game, the Saints beat the Cowboys without scoring a touchdown. Wow, what a weekend. If you're listening to this, I am recording during Monday Night Football, and I do not have the ending for that yet. Thanks a lot for listening, folks. Let me get to this. The Patriots. Their defense is being compared to that of legendary status. Teams like the '85 Bears, the '01 Ravens, and the '02 Buccaneers. That's pretty high praise. These defenses had Hall of Famers like Richard Dent and Mike Singletary, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp. Are there guys on New England's starting defense that will someday have Hall of Fame busts and the legendary status of the aforementioned names? Time will tell. But if Tom Brady's at the helm, with a defense that good, how can they lose? On Sunday, the Patriots beat the 3-0 Bills 16-10. With Tom Brady playing one of the 5 worst games of his career, it was the defense that won it for them. I found myself laughing at the Bills' ability to give the game away with 2 red zone turnovers. Josh Allen kept trying to make plays when nothing was there. The running game was great. Old man Frank Gore had 17 carries for 109 yards. That's a 6.4 yards per carry average. I can't remember the last time he had over 4 yards per carry, probably with the Niners. He is the all-time leading rusher for them. So why keep trying to fit the ball into tight spaces? You can't beat the Patriots by making stupid mistakes. The Bills coaching staff put Allen into good winning situations, but Allen's incompetence, coupled with a staggering Pats defense, put an end to any glimmer of hope for Buffalo. They had 5 sacks, 4 interceptions, and only allowed 10 points. Wow. They've only given up 27 points in 4 games. That's an average of less than 7 points per game. Over that short sample size, they've scored 122 points, averaging just over 30 points per game. So you're looking at like a 30-7 score. That's pretty darn good. This team has the ability to win more ways than one. Their only TD scored Sunday was on a blocked punt. If all Brady has to do is manage games at this point, can anyone beat the Patriots? Their schedule is winnable until a 5-week stretch starting November 3rd. They have a Sunday night matchup in Baltimore against the Ravens, followed by Eagles on the road, Cowboys back at home, Texans on the road, and ending with a huge matchup against the Chiefs at home. I think we'll find out what kind of team they are through that time frame. Watching that game yesterday, I was just getting so frustrated with the Bills, especially Josh Allen. If he's just got more experience, more playing time, he's going to be able to know that you got to throw that ball away. Stop trying to make a play when there's nothing there, especially on first, second, and third down, until you're actually in a point where you have to make a play, like 4th down and goal, down by 6. Maybe then try to make a play, because it's your last resort. But when you've got 3 more downs Run the ball or throw it away. Something. It was just, the Bills just gave it away. They could have won that game. Patriots couldn't do anything on offense. The Bills' defense was excellent. They stymied the Patriots' running game, and they stopped Brady from doing anything. It was a pretty good game. I have to say, I'm super disappointed, but I guess that's just the way it goes sometimes. In the Lions game, the Chiefs went to Detroit, and man, this game was back and forth for quite a long time. I was really, really impressed with the Detroit Lions' ability to keep up with the Chiefs. And we all know the Chiefs are the highest flying, highest scoring, crazy offense in the league. Mahomes was 24 for 42 for 315 yards, but he had no touchdown passes. What? Mahomes had no touchdown passes? Well, he still had 315 yards. The touchdowns came rushing. LaShawn McCoy had a touchdown with 11 carries for 56 yards. And Damian Williams also had 2 touchdowns on 8 carries for 13 yards. Terrible average, but it looks like he got all the goal line work. Travis Kelce was open all day long, and I'm surprised they didn't use him even more. Could have been a good idea to go with that, but maybe the Lions defense was covering him pretty well. So on the Lions side, Stafford, he had 21 to 34, 291 yards, and 3 TDs. I was telling my neighbor before the game after he asked me if they thought the Lions had a chance. I said, yeah, I think they do, only because they're at home. But Stafford has to bring out his inner gunslinger, his inner Brett Favre, and he has to make great plays with his arm without making any mistakes. I mean, every ball had to be caught, and there had to be no fumbles and no interceptions. And that's what happened. And they almost pulled it off. But of course, in the end, they gave the ball back to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs had too much time. And Patrick Mahomes showed that he's not just a stat machine. He's an incredible, awesome, gifted, talented player who happens to play quarterback, the most important position in all of sports. You know, Kerryon Johnson actually ran for 125 yards for the Lions on 26 carries, and Golladay had 2 touchdown catches, so he finally showed up. But it just wasn't enough, and in the end, the Lions couldn't get it done. But I have to say, they probably have the makings of a pretty darn good team. They're going to be 2-1-1 now. The Vikings are 2-2. The Bears are 3-1, and the Packers are 3-1. So really, they're only half a game behind the Bears and the Packers. Now, the Bears are starting to look pretty good, too. They had a pretty decent game against the Vikings, and I was kind of curious to see how that game would turn out, considering the Bears' offense hasn't really been able to do anything at all. But that Bears' defense is incredible. I mean, gosh. You saw what they did to Cousins. He was 27 of 36 for 233 yards. I mean, you have 33 attempts, but you only have 233 yards. That's not very good. Dalvin Cook has been a monster this year, but he only had 14 carries for 35 yards and a touchdown. That's a 2.5 yards per carry average. Stephon Diggs finally showed up for the Vikings, had 7 catches for 108 yards, but it wasn't good enough. Bears defense shut them down, and they only gave up 6 points. What a game. Those 6 points were all scored in the fourth quarter. You know, I guess at the end of the game when you've got it bagged up, that's kind of garbage points, but the Vikings just had no chance. In this game, Trubisky got hurt. I don't currently have the injury and how long he's out for, but I heard it wasn't anything too serious. It was his throwing shoulder, so he might be out for a few weeks. Chase Daniel came in, did pretty well, 22 for 30, 195 yards and a touchdown. Not bad. Their running game is still pretty poor. They probably should have never got rid of Jordan Howard. We saw what he did for the Eagles, scoring 29 points for his fantasy value. 2 rushing TDs and a receiving one with almost 100 yards. We'll see how the Bears shape up for the entire season. Can they ride their defense all the way through? I think they can. But when you get to the playoffs, it's a whole different animal. We saw what happened to the Cowboys last night. It's in New Orleans. New Orleans' defense is awesome now. You know, all those years of great offense and no defense are over. They have a great defense. And with Breeze out, their offense isn't quite what it could be. But Bridgewater is holding it down. The guy's got talent. Out of college at the University of Louisville, he was great for the Vikings until he blew his knee out in 6 different spots. It took him 2 years to come back. But the guy's got talent. He can run a team. I believe his record is 14-7 or something like that as a starter. So he's got a winning record by far. He had 23 of 30, 193 yards, and an interception. So not great. He's just managing the game. Kamara didn't do that good. 17 carries for 69 yards. But it was that Saints defense. They just really stymied Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Dak was 22 of 33 for 223 yards and an interception. Ezekiel Elliott was 18 rushes for 35 yards and a touchdown. That's a 1.9 yard per carry average. Not good at all. They didn't even try to trot out Tony Pollard. They had nothing going for them on offense. I think the only bright spot in that entire game for the Cowboys was Leighton Vander Esch, killing it with 10 tackles. Pretty awesome performance by him. A lot of stops right before the first down marker. God, he's great. Love to watch that guy play from Little Riggins, Idaho, right here in the Pacific Northwest. Other games of note, I suppose you could suggest the Raiders over the Colts. The Raiders are 2-2 now. They have a chance. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to win that division, but we all thought the Chargers were going to be better, and they're only 2-2 now. And one of their wins is against the Dolphins, so that doesn't even count, does it? Well, I guess it's an NFL team, but we all know they're tanking. What is the slogan? Tanking for Tua? Well, that's just stupid. Tua's not even going to be a good quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. I would compare him to Tebow. Great college quarterback, awesome skills, not much of a passer, and it doesn't translate into the NFL. This year, we're seeing pretty good skills for Kyler Murray. Not great. He's on a terrible team. And the Browns, they put up 40 points on the Ravens in Baltimore. That's impressive. Everybody was on them about how crappy they are, and maybe they're overconfident and overhyped, and then they come out and lay 40 on the Ravens in Baltimore. They need to ride that momentum further into the season, into the mid part of the season, and get some wins. I get Schadenfreude, which is taking pleasure in other people's misfortune. When I watch the Browns lose, I enjoy watching the Browns lose. I don't know why, but maybe it's because it's always been that way, and I kind of don't like change that much. I don't know. Giants look great, beating the Redskins. Shermer is able to bust out a lot more great stuff in the playbook for Daniel Jones as opposed to Eli Manning. Gallman, the backup, Saquon Barkley, had a huge game. So they're fine. We'll see how they do against better teams. They did play the Redskins, and that game was 24-3. So overall, it was a decent week of football. I think probably the best game was definitely the Thursday night game, the Eagles-Packers. Eagles showed up. Their defense looked great. Rodgers was running for his life, and they could not run the ball at all. Eagles ran the ball all over Green Bay. And Carson Wentz looked amazing. I think the Eagles are back on track. Winning in Green Bay on Thursday night's a pretty big deal. I think they're probably going to ride this into a pretty good win streak. They get the Jets next week. That's an automatic win, obviously. I think Sam Darnold should be returning for that game, but we'll see what happens. It's just been a great week of football, folks, and I really do appreciate you guys listening to me. This week we had the 49ers and the Jets on bye. 49ers are playing Monday night next week at home with the Cleveland Browns in town. That should be interesting. So after that Browns big win in Baltimore, can they follow that up with another road win in San Francisco? Sorry, little brother, I mean Santa Clara. They're the San Francisco 49ers, folks. I say that they play in San Francisco because they always did. I'm sorry, they play in Santa Clara. Yes, the New York Giants and Jets play in New Jersey. Big freaking deal. If you've got a problem with it, take it up with the public relations office for the team. Well, thanks for listening, folks. As I kind of rambled a little bit in this episode, I hope you didn't lose interest and you stayed with me throughout. It's been great. I love you. Music has been provided by Ben Sounds. Ho, Ben. I love your sounds. Thank you. Goodbye.